Ryan Tannehill has agreed to terms to stay with the Tennessee Titans. He is their quarterback now for 2020. And I know a lot of the talk obviously was about Tom Brady. For Tennessee, this was never about Tom Brady. It was always about Ryan Tannehill. This is something that really since the Combine, really everyone I've talked to in the Titans organization has been very clear. They want to keep their really good players. They want to make sure that Tannehill and Derrick Henry stay in the fold for next year, especially after leading them on that playoff push in that dramatic season. And now they have just agreed to terms on a deal to keep Tannehill in Tennessee for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so no Tom Brady to Tennessee. Let's cross the Titans off the list. It is going to be Ryan Tannehill. They have a deal done, which, Ian, means they can now use the franchise tag if needed for Derrick Henry.
That's exactly right. And from what I understand, they haven't really gotten off the ground too much as far as a potential deal for Henry. A Tannehill deal was always considered to be more likely, and now that they have agreed to terms on Tannehill, from what I understand, the franchise tag is a very much an option for Derrick Henry, and it's not what anybody wants. It's also for a running back, more than $10 million, so at the least, Derrick Henry gets paid in the 2020 season. We will see if they can get a deal done down the road.
All right, Daniel Jeremiah, they decide not to go after Tom Brady, or maybe Brady didn't want to go there. That remains to be seen. Fun how all the pieces finally come together of this puzzle after the fact, a couple of days or a couple of weeks from now. But from a Titans football perspective, is Tannehill the right choice over Brady?
I think it is right now because you look at where this team is headed right now. This is still an emerging team. Now, I know they made a nice job in the playoffs last year knocking off the Baltimore Ravens, but this team, to me, has got a chance to be good for several years going forward. When you look at A.J. Brown, you look at some of the young pieces on that offensive line, Tannehill can grow with this group. I do believe they're going to lose Jack Conklin in free agency. He's going to get a ton of money. You try and get Derrick Henry done, bring that core back, and now in the draft you can address that right tackle position in a very deep group. So I think it was the right decision for this group going forward for the long term.
All right, you convinced that with a full season of Ryan Tannehill, not a midseason spark when you bench Marcus Mariota, that they can win a championship with him?
I do. I think they can. I think when you look at the pieces that they're building and the style that they're going to play, this is not going to be something that's put all on the quarterback. That's not how they operate. They're going to run the football. They're going to play great defense and ask Ryan Tannehill to make 3 or 4 plays, which he's capable of doing, not just with his arm, but also with his mobility, his ability to create a little bit with his athleticism. So, yes, I do think he's a championship quarterback in this system and what they ask of him.
All right, 49-49 career for Ryan Tannehill, but when Mariota was benched in October, Tannehill made him a different team. We can all agree on that. A different team that went on the road and won in Baltimore, a resounding victory there. All right, thank you, DJ. Let's get back to Charlie Casserly here and Greg Rosenthal, as actually just Charlie. Ryan Tannehill, Charlie, is sticking around in Tennessee. Ian Rappaport says they get the deal done. Your initial thoughts?
Well, it makes sense from this one. He had success with them, okay? We don't know if Brady was ever interested in. Let's put that off to the side here. So we don't know if that's even an option for him here. The thing is, you get him done. Now you have the option to keep Derrick Henry. You want to keep him. Conklin, and I agree, he's going to get a lot of money, like DJ said. Now you go to the draft and you get a tackle and you start over. At least you're starting over at right tackle, not left tackle. So that's a positive here. Now, when you watch Tannehill play last year, it was the running game #1. You watch in the playoffs. He didn't have to throw a lot. So play action pass, get him outside the pocket. There's no denying this guy played well for half a season or whatever it was in a run-based offense with a good defense. Now, can he win a championship? To me, the jury's still out on there. When you talk to people that play him, they said, hey, get this guy, confuse him on the coverage, change the coverage. That's what gives him a problem. So when he has to play from behind in the downs, that's what, to me, he has to prove he has the ability to do that. So I don't like to rely upon a running game and a quarterback that only has to throw the ball a minimum number of times in a game to go win a championship. But he did play well last year. There's no denying that. And this guy was a top pick at one point in the draft. So maybe at some point he felt he was. Some guys, Vinny Testaverde's one. He emerged late in his career. Steve Young emerged late in his career. Both of them had great careers. Young's in the Hall of Fame. Maybe Tannehill's a guy who's found the right spot here.
Say this, Rosenthal, it's the safe move. Titans had $64 million projected here of salary cap room, and the franchise tag on Derrick Henry, if they use it for running backs, is only around 10. This is the safe move.
Absolutely. I think it's the move with the higher ceiling. Yes, Ryan Tannehill has some limitations, and Charlie pointed those out, but one of them is not his athleticism, and I think that fits really well with what the Titans do in terms of their running game. Another strength he has was throwing the ball deep last year, and with the talent they have in Tennessee, by the way, their receivers aren't that much better as a group than the group that Tom Brady had a year ago. That's a deep speed type of team. I think Tannehill can get the ball to him downfield. And finally, I do wonder, after this comes out, how much interest the Titans really did have in Tom Brady.